This episode of the MOC Squad was filmed in front of a live, members-only audience.
All right. Happy birthday, Rob.
Well, thank you, sir. How's it going?
All right. It happens to be my birthday coming up this week as well. I remember
Nice.
us and the late, great John Schnepp. We all had our birthdays around the same.
Yeah, Schnepp's birthday would have been on the 16th.
Yeah.
Yeah, so happy birthday to you.
Well, thank you very much. Just another year passing by.
I know, it's crazy. Oh, man.
They go by faster and faster, seems like. And every movie that we say, everybody says the same thing. Oh, I can't wait for this. Oh, I can't wait for this. And as I'm sitting there, I'm saying, okay, well, here's another movie. At one time, I couldn't wait for it. That's passed me by, and now wait for the next one.
I know that's the biggest bummer about shuffling off this mortal coil is I hope I don't, miss any James Bond movies, or that's the thing that vexes me. I think it was like Warren Zevon who said he had like terminal cancer. He knew he was going to die. And he said, I just want to live to see the new James Bond movie. And I'm like, I relate to that.
Yeah.
I relate to that.
Well, yeah. And there's several movies that kind of go into that as well. The Star Wars, what was that? What is a Star Wars movie? I can't remember where the fans saw the prequel early.
Oh yeah, because like somebody was sick and they wanted to see it.
Yeah, that's one that they actually had in Riverside, Iowa, and they had the scene where the guy yelled "Khan" and.
Oh right, yeah. Fanboys, the movie Fanboys.
Fanboys, that's
yeah.
That's it. So, but
yeah.
Let me see. I'm trying to think of anything new that's come up. I kind of understand now more about the writer strike and how that's going, and I think I agree with you. It's going to be a long haul on this. I just they seem so far apart, and they seem so very little interest in meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how they can, to be honest. I mean, it's I think they just need to. The old ways of paying people with residuals and things worked when it was a broadcast model and you had the shows were all sponsored, and there isn't that anymore. So it's hard to quantify. Like, the whole business is different. I think it should just be a single payer buyout, and they should pay you a decent sum, and that's it. Because like Netflix, they're going to an ad tier, but right now, the only money they get in is from subscriptions, and that has to pay for every show that's on their platform. So how do you pay out WGA writers that have written a 10-episode miniseries? I mean, if there's no additional money coming in. So
because how do you rate something that says, well, I guess they had, and that's the thing that they're talking about. All these streaming services are not sharing their information. We don't know. If one show may be attractive, maybe it doesn't have the greatest ratings, but it attracts a lot of new subscribers, which to me would make it gold if it greatly increase your subscriber base. But
right. But even then, it's the subscriptions have to pay for how to make the programming itself. I mean, there is no money for residuals.
Yeah.
Under
course,
that model.
I don't know. Like myself, I kind of butterfly my way around. Like, I'll be on Paramount for a month or two and catch up on Picard and something, then go on over to Apple, that sort of thing. I really there's only a couple that I keep month after month.
No, it's true. I mean, and that's the thing. I think a lot of people do that. Skip in and out when they want.
But well, again, Rob, just a happy birthday, and hope you have a great week and everything. And
well, thank you. It should be fun. I don't really have any plans, but I think I might go to Palm Springs. A friend of mine's visiting. He has a house actually in Palm Springs, and it's only like 40 minutes away, so it's easy.
Yeah, that's a great
Easy
spot
to drive to. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, well, take it easy, Rob, and good talking to you.
Thanks, man. Always good to see you.
All right.
Thank you, Roger. I'll make sure to yeah, there we go. Awesome. Rob, by the way, too, I think part of what's going on with the with this issue of the writers strike as well is the models are so outdated, right? I mean,
Yeah.
For the writers getting paid residuals based on syndication, broadcast, advertising revenue, none of that applies in the streaming world. So it's completely, it needs to be a rethought completely, right?
Yeah, and the streamers are losing money. You know, they're hemorrhaging cash. They've lost billions of dollars. So what do you do?
It's funny to see that now we're kind of reverting back to advertising. Like I'm going to license these shows over to one of the ad-supported streaming services or something like that to try to recover some of that. So, yeah,
and I don't know how that's going to work. I mean, you know, I've mostly spent my time in the indie film world, and with the indie film world, they tell you what you're going to get paid, and you get paid that. You know, and it's not a whole lot.
Yeah.
So. Although,
all right, we got King Tannic coming up next. Oh, hold on, things moved on my list here. So, King Tannic, you should be able to unmute. Welcome, Israel.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
How's it going, man?
Yes.
How was Midnight Musings last night?
Midnight Musings was a raucous good time. People really liked it. We jumped around from topic to topic. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I wasn't able to watch last night.
And by the end, we were all exhausted. It was like time to go to bed.
I opened up the thing and it was like only like 3 hours. I was like, come on, that's child's play.
I know, right? No, it was good. No, I had to go to bed. I haven't been getting any sleep with the puppies and the this and the that. We had a big presentation we had to make yesterday that I was working on, and that was incredibly stressful.
Well, happy early birthday, Rob.
Thank you. I'm loving 14 episodes, dude. 14 weeks in a row.
14. And this is crazy because this next episode will be the 15th episode, but it'll be like, because your birthday is right before, and then the day after Friday this week is my birthday. So it's like we have two birthdays on the Burnettwork this week.
That's amazing.
Man.
Well, actually 3, because Dieter Bastian's birthday is tomorrow.
3, man. Woo.
3.
What's up with the May birthdays?
Right. Well, you can backtrack and see when our parents were fucking.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
I mean, no, it's funny because
there's a kid in this frame and I just swore. Oh, headphones. That's good. Okay, good.
It's funny because every year,
Daddy, what's fucking mean?
It's funny because every year there's always some movie that releases on my birthday. It's like May 19th is always that one day, like Revenge of the Sith released on May 19th, yada yada. So this year it's Fast X, and so I'm like, is this going to be a good birthday present or a bad birthday?
It's going to be a great birthday present. What are you talking about? Come on,
find out.
I mean,
especially after they didn't they just spoil something like the rap?
Yeah, I'm pissed. I didn't know that. They fucking put it in the headlines. Like, fuck you guys. Why do you got to do that?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, it's not like it's not like, you know, like a Marvel thing. It's not like I super care about like the spoilers, but at the same time, I was like, why would you like do? It was like in the headline. They were like, I'm not gonna say what it is in case anyone's seen it, or in case anyone hasn't seen it, but yeah, that was crazy. I was like, wow.
Yeah, man, come on. I mean, you know, look. As much as I love this franchise, I hated Fast 9, but I don't care. Like the James Bond franchise, I hated A View to a Kill. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to like the next one, but I didn't. That was. I would love to have. Those movies are really fun to go see with an audience on opening night, and that surprise would have blown the roof off the house. And now I'm never going to have that experience because people know.
Well, I mean, I think the casual audience who doesn't follow like those sources, I think there's still going to be a decent chunk of the audience that still goes, oh, when it happens.
Yeah, but still, I mean, I'm like, why do we live in? Here's the thing. It's more indicative of, I think the biggest problem facing modern society overall is there is no respect for friends, neighbors, countrymen. There's a fundamental lack of respect at every level of society for everybody. Kids have no respect for their parents. They have no respect for teachers. I mean, it's systemic. And when you don't respect anybody, you have people that just can throw out these kinds of things willy-nilly and think they can get away with it. But the problem is, it's again another example of the fundamental lack of respect for your own readers. I mean, you have a movie website that's supposed to be professional, and then you just go, guess what? Just for clicks and gin up the analytic numbers or whatever. But it's a lack of respect for your own audience. What if somebody didn't want to know? You didn't give them the opportunity to make that choice. I hate that.
Yeah. Well, I see you got your Blue Harvest shirt going. Isn't that Star Wars? That was the working title. This is the working title. This was the fake title they shot
Return of the Jedi under.
Oh.
So they didn't, when they were like in Yuma, Arizona, they didn't want anyone to know what they were shooting. So
okay. That makes sense. No, I mean, it's funny because last night I wasn't able to watch Midnight Musings, but I was showing my girlfriend Star Wars for the first time. So we watched Star Wars and Empire, and she was into it. She liked, I think, Empire more because the first Star Wars, there's just so much exposition and stuff that they have to put on you in that movie. But then Empire is just able to like build off of that.
Right.
And so I think I kind of had to explain some things in the first one because she was like, wait, who? Why?
Irene Jobson wants to know if you were showing your girl your lightsaber.
Yeah, I got my Darth Vader lightsaber down there on the shelf.
That's good. All right. Good for you, man.
Yeah, no, it was we almost tried to watch Return of the Jedi, but then we were like, we will not finish the movie. We will fall asleep. So we stopped there. And it was funny because going in, she knew that Darth Vader was like Luke's father. And so before I was like, so what do you know? She's like, isn't Darth Vader Luke's father? And I played it so coy. I was like, what? Where'd you hear that? What are you talking about?
Yeah, I always do that too.
And then in A New Hope, Obi-Wan was like, Darth Vader killed your father. And she was like, what? And then when it happened in Empire, she was like, you lied to me. And I was like, yeah, but it was good.
I told you she would never consciously betray the rebellion.
Ah, dude. You know, it's funny because I rarely do it because I just don't have the time to do it. But I encourage everybody, if you've never done it, watch the first Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back right back to back. Because it's so interesting to see. Well, one, there's a director change. We know that George Lucas doesn't really like working with actors. So it's really cool to see like Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher kind of go from, they weren't bad in the original Star Wars, but it's more of like a natural performance in the Empire. And like the directing style's better. It's darker. It was just really cool to see. I love both. But it was just
if you want a real thought experiment, if you watch all three, you see just how far off the rails Return of the Jedi really is. If you follow.
Oh man, no. One of my least favorite things about Return of the Jedi is how goofy Harrison Ford acts in that movie.
Oh,
like I'm like, and then I'm watching Empire and I'm like, he's so cool, and then he's like, what happened?
Everything's goofy in Jedi. I mean, R2 and 3PO fall in the sand.
You know,
and they get picked up by a magnet with their feet sticking straight out. It's just,
I mean, that scene where Luke tells Leia that Darth Vader is his father and he has to go face him. It feels like to me the actors weren't really feeling the scene. She's like, leave this place. I was like, you don't believe what you're saying, Carrie. Come on now. I don't know if that's a director thing or a dialogue thing or what.
I think it's both. I mean, Return of the Jedi is for me. It's painful to watch. Not necessarily as painful as Phantom Menace, but people that love Return of the Jedi, I'm like, that was probably the first Star Wars movie you ever saw. You know, but watching them all back to back, it's like, oh, it's just so not great. Yeah, but it's fine. See, to me, it's Return of the Jedi is a movie that has two really great scenes: the rescue of Han Solo and the confrontation with the Emperor. At the end, the rest of the movie is completely inconsequential. Like, why is this speeder chase happening? Who cares? How does it affect the plot? It doesn't at all. It's just a speeder bike chase. You're just watching this cool thing. And I'm like, I don't need it.
Thank you, King Tannic. Rob, I'm gonna take off, so I'll give you the reins. But coming up next is Darth Plato. So hope you have a good rest of the chat. And remember, I'll take care of editing and uploading it later. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So you've got Darth Plato on board.
I got Darth Plato.
All right. See you guys.
What's up, dude?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well. Doing well.
Did I hear someone say happy birthday?
Yes. Yeah, my birthday's on Monday, May
Right.
15th.
And then allow me to say, lightest Natalis to be.
Wow. I don't know what that is.
That's happy birthday to you in the classical Latin.
Oh, well, I'll take it. Can you say that again?
Lightest Natalis to be.
All right. That sounds good. I like that.
Happy birthday to you.
Mm.
As opposed to say like happy birthday to me, in which case I would say lightest Natalis Nahi.
I like that.
We were talking in the chat about spoiling movies. I knew what was going to happen in Return of the Jedi before I ever saw the movie.
In Jedi, you did?
Oh yeah. Because as soon as I got off the bus, there were people walking around and saying, "Dude, Darth Vader's going to die." And
I hate that.
Yeah.
Well, kids, you can never stop the kids from spoiling things.
Well, I didn't believe them. I was like, what are you talking about? Darth Vader's not going to die. Darth Vader, badass.
He gets a Viking funeral.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But remember where I am. I'm right over the hill from Lucasfilm. So
right.
Some of the kids knew what was going on. They were just running around telling everybody.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad. Yeah, you were just on a show with Drinker and Paul Chato.
Chato and scriptwriter.
Yeah. And you were talking about the what was that thing called? The monster from A Private Little War.
The Mugatu?
Yeah, what was it called?
Yeah, that's the Mugatu.
Yeah, the Mugatu.
And that's what the character in Zoolander was named after.
Yeah, that was
Will Ferrell played.
Yeah, that was a scary thing. What was the scariest monster that you ever saw in Classic Trek?
That's a good question. I think, well, when I was a kid, the Horda scared me. Devil in the Dark that bored through the rock, that burned people to a crisp. But the thing when I was a kid, the thing that freaked me out the most were the neural parasites from Operation Annihilate, the plastic vomit.
Oh yeah,
that would attached, mostly because like that it would attach to you, and you join this hive mind, and the idea that they were basically flying neurons for this much larger consciousness. I just used to get freaked out by that, and the fact that Spock was the one that ended up getting affected, it really freaked me out.
Yeah, I know. It's all the great sick bay scene where the doctor goes in and starts stop it, and then he goes, "That'll be quite enough, doctor."
Yeah, that's pretty good.
The scariest thing I ever saw in Star Trek was, without a question, Mantrap.
Oh, you know what? You're right. I mean, that was a great. The thing is about that, the creature design was probably the scariest creature design. And when you see the suction cups on Kirk's face and stuff, yeah, you're probably right. That was a great monster. But the thing was with that monster, even as a kid, I felt sorry for it. So it didn't scare. I'm like, oh man.
It was a rip of Dracula, but that's actually not the creature I was talking about. The thing I'm talking about was that thing in Sulu's garden with the hand that was coming out of the desk, was like, whoa.
Oh, come on, dude.
that thing scared the heck out of me.
That was his Venus flytrap human hand puppet.
Yeah. It's so funny. It was a guy in a box with a hand puppet just sticking out. He just going like this with his hand.
Oh yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah. But yeah, it was Star Trek had great monsters. I mean, there's a lot of Star Trek episodes are almost horror, in a way. And that's one of the things I liked about Star Trek.
Yeah. That's called classic for a reason.
Yeah. But it got weird. Things like the Doomsday Machine and the giant space amoeba. The space amoeba scared me too.
Yeah, Doomsday Machine's a classic. It's
Yeah.
it's a bit Moby Dick, but still, it's a good episode.
Oh yeah. No, I love it. It's the score is so iconic, and everybody's really, the acting is really good in it as well.
Yeah, how command authority actually works is a bit. That's not actually how a command authority works in the Navy, but I don't want to get into that here. Yeah, because I don't know how much time I have left, and
Right.
I'm just gonna. So I'll just say the scene where they rescue Leia in the Death Star. That they were completely winging that scene. That was not an op. So when Leia comes out of the cell, she knows what are you guys doing?
Oh, right. Yeah.
So that's why she's taking charge, because it's not a real op.
Right.
Because she's from the rebellion. She knows what a real op is. And you guys, I mean, this guy's what you call him a truck driver. I wouldn't call him a truck driver, but he definitely has seen some stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say truck driver because he's carrying bootleg cargo, just like Smokey and the Bandit, just like Jerry. What's Jerry? The guy who sings the song, the bandit's friend that has the moonshine in the truck.
I was thinking more blockade one.
Well, no, because Han Solo is a smuggler. He carries stuff from place to place, and he's got car bootleg, whatever he's carrying, spice, booze, So that's why I always thought he was
spice.
Because a blockade runner would be, that's more of a military, whereas he
was former military.
Well, yeah, but that's because he got thrown in, as we saw, he got thrown in there. But,
True.
He was just running cargo.
Yeah, he would definitely run cargo.
Yeah.
For shady characters.
Jerry Reed, that's what I was thinking of. Jerry Reed. I love Jerry Reed. I love Smokey and the Bandit. It's great. I have the 4K Blu-ray. And it's beautiful.
Yeah,
I don't even know if anyone remembers those movies anymore.
I do.
I love those films. Yeah, and everybody now, I was watching some kids tear apart 80s movies on Twitter today. They were just talking about how rapey they are and how not politically correct they are. And it's like, so what? They're very problematic. Give me a break.
He's preaching to his own choir there.
Yeah, I know.
It's not an insightful observation that he's making.
No, nope.
The people
and the funny thing is that they talk about it like this time is better than that was. I'll tell you, the 80s were a lot of fun, and nobody cared what you were like, and you wouldn't be judged the way you're being judged right now.
Every generation thinks that they're the it generation. Let's just face it.
It's true. It is true.
But no, I've really seen some weird stuff that people say, like why is your generation different from your generation? This was at school, like the 2000, 2010 generation, and they say, well, I knew a guy that liked to have lots of sex. Well, how is that different from any generation that's ever lived?
Right. It was just more rapey in the 80s or something.
Or I know a guy that likes to read Nietzsche. Well, that's been a thing for 100 years. That's not something new to this generation. The guy lived in the 1890s, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
People don't know what they're saying.
I know. And they have no sense of history. And I don't like it.
Don't get me started on
that. Well, you are the resident historian.
Unofficial or official?
You're official.
Okay. Because sometimes you do say unofficial.
Well, because I haven't issued you a degree or anything like that.
Fair enough. I'm just being a wise guy.
Yeah, no, I know. I have to say, I love my Pandora cup that I got at CinemaCon.
Mm-hmm.
If anything good came of CinemaCon, and lots did, it's this great Pandora swag cup. I love it.
I would never be able to fit it in my refrigerator.
It's well, I don't. I keep it here and then I just go fill it up with water when it's ice water. That's my new thing. That's all I'm drinking now. It's just ice water.
I do. Yeah. I drink 8 waters a day.
Nice.
2 by noon, 2 by 3, 2 by 6, 2 by 9.
What about 2 by 4? Oh, Terrible.
Wise guy.
I know. Bad. So how are things with you? How is everything going?
I'm fine. Just working on what I'm working on, which I'm not going to reveal at this time. And
Okay.
reading. Just finished my history of India, so I'm going to move on to something
nice.
else.
That's cool.
It is cool. Working out more.
Nice.
Lord knows I need to do that.
Me too. I want to live. I want to live a long time.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I can talk about, but I can't do it in 5 minutes.
I know. Well, what you must have something you want to talk about.
Yeah, but you know, Rob, I was just gonna twist your arm about something.
So you can.
Not right now. I've been on long enough. I'm gonna leave you and let you move on to somebody else.
All right. Well, then I will take you. I will mute you. But it's good to see you. Always a pleasure, Mr. Darth Plato. I love that your name is Darth Plato. And of course, we're back to Stubble. Mr. McShave is in the house. I'm asking. There we go.
Hi, Rob.
What's up, dude? How's Sweden?
It's dark outside right now.
Yeah.
It's almost 10 o'clock.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, let's continue on the Star Wars thing and birthdays.
Okay.
Because I have a birthday coming up as well. And I always say that I was released the day before Star Wars was released.
I'll buy it.
Yeah.
So you and I are we're that would make us 10 years apart.
Yeah.
All right.
So
all right.
But I have a beef with you about Star Wars.
Uh-oh, here it comes.
Beef may be a too strong a word, but Attack of the Clones. I can't stand Attack of the Clones.
Come on, man. Attack of the Clones deserves some love. Give it some love. Come on.
You know, it's a great movie except for all the character interactions.
Well, yeah, everybody's kind of dumb. Everybody in the movie is incredibly. I mean, that's what the prequel trilogy. The people don't even act like real people, and they're all kind of dumb about everything.
Yeah, we'll have a love story where the two love interests don't have any chemistry at all and have stilted dialogue, and I can't stand it. The visuals are great, or good at least, but you know, I can't. I turn it off after 10 minutes because I can't stand the dialogue. I can't stand the stilted dialogue.
I know
chemistry.
It's that's everything about the human component in the prequel trilogies just don't work at all. It's yeah. It's you don't even have a good scene where people are interacting with one another. No. It's very weird.
Yeah, and you like the pod race in episode 1. I don't like the pod race.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't really serve a purpose.
No, it goes on too long, and I think it could have been interesting. It would have been a bit problematic as well. But if he didn't win, if he did perform well but came in second or something, and they worked the story around a bit, I think that could have been more compelling for the character than just he's winning. But they had to change a lot of things to make it work.
Yeah. It's just that's the problem with those movies is none of the human beings, because he was mixing and matching performances. He would like cut off the head of one performance and put it into another performance. So none of it feels at all natural. Whenever anybody's talking, it feels like they're saying, it's like they're doing bad dinner theater somewhere. It's just not, it's not good.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought about doing a thing on ChatGPT just for the fun of it. Fun of it. And I thought about prompting it to break down and write the screenplay for a 10 episode of Hyperion. And I wanted to ask you in the prompt, which 3 screenwriters should they adapt it as?
Steve Zalian, Robert Bolt and Joseph Makowitz.
Okay, I had none of those names on my list, but
Oh.
no, I have more famous screenwriter names than more.
Right.
Yeah. So, but my name would be Ronald D. Moore, Tony Gilroy, and Christopher McQuarrie.
Those are good. All right.
Yeah. There was someone.
Did you have it print out a synopsis or anything?
No, I haven't done it yet.
Okay.
I thought about doing it, but it will be many pages. So, but it could be interesting just to see what comes out on the other end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in. Count me in and keep us abreast. It's so wild. There's also the Google version of Chat GPT, which is called Bard, BARD, like Shakespeare.
Yeah. I haven't tried that one, but yeah. It was someone who said to me, or not said to me, but I heard it somewhere that Darkest Hour and Dunkirk happens more or less simultaneously.
Yeah, I mean, I think I watched them both when I watched The Darkest Hour. I watched it back to back with Dunkirk. So I watched Dunkirk first, which I'd already seen, and then watched The Darkest Hour. And you could intercut those movies almost.
Yeah. I thought it would be interesting to have a supercut that was like 4.5 hours long or something.
I agree.
But because there's some overlap, at least, I think, time-wise. So I thought it could be an interesting thing if someone did. I won't do it. That's not my thing.
But you could.
I could. Anyone could.
It's true.
Yeah.
I'd watch it though.
Yeah. Did you hear about Tom Hanks writing a book about making movies?
Yeah, it came out, and it's supposed to be pretty good. I mean, I'd be curious to. I didn't buy it, but I'd be curious to get it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Because he's seen a lot of different sets and a lot of different. I think he could work around the story to get a lot of interesting stuff in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really. Yes, I have one more question.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have one more answer.
We had those discussions about where does the line go? How far could you go with an alien? The furthest is the xenomorph, and the closest is the Vulcans or whatever.
Yeah, or Gamora.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have never answered where you fall on that line. You have just asked questions.
Well, I mean, I would prefer. Look, I don't think I could go. I could be romantically involved with an alien species that I felt revulsion for, in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, I would prefer to stick with humanoid aliens. But there's lots of other aliens that aren't so bad.
Yeah, but do you remember what I answered on that question?
Do I remember the what?
I answered that question a while ago.
Oh, what did you? No, I don't remember.
No, I said that I could perhaps maybe, but I was not sure. But the line would be drawn at the Kaminoans in Star Wars.
Right. I'd go there.
It may be too weird.
They're sexy, man. Come on. Yeah. I am Lama Su. I would totally make it with a what would be cloners from Camino. Yeah. I would totally go there.
But I could never go beyond that. I don't think. I think there's where my line is drawn.
That's funny. You should have a shirt made. I draw the line here, and just have a picture of Lama Su.
Yeah. Anyway, I may have taken up too much time. I don't know.
This is good. It was good.
So
I draw the line. Cloners. That's very funny.
I do my own cloning over here or something.
Yeah, I'll bet you do.
Yeah.
Yes. So hunched over your CRISPR, making genetic modifications too.
Yeah. But take care and have a good birthday.
I will. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
And I will try. Good to see you, man. Jeff, you're up.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Not much. It's first time back on these things since last year.
Really? Has it been
Yeah.
that long? I thought I really.
Yeah, I decided to take a break for a bit.
Oh, okay. Well, good to have you back.
Yeah, I guess I didn't have that much interesting that I was keen on talking about for the months. Obviously, the writer strike gets a lot of attention, and although something I wanted to point out is I was watching your observations last night with Kevin the comic doctor.
Yeah, Kevin the comic doctor.
Yeah, and you brought up the thing about like the way we dress to like go to like parties and whatnot.
Yeah,
And
getting all dressed up to the nines, gussied up.
Yeah, and which is funny because it did, without going into specifics, it kind of reminded me of like how I wrote like how my characters dress in a certain scene in my script.
Oh,
like,
your erotic thriller.
Yeah, like the whole point is that they look a certain way to draw attention to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
kind of funny.
And somebody, accused me of being a misogynist by saying that there are times when all human beings want to be desired. So they primp and preen to be objectified, to be desired, to be seen as hot or that. And someone said, Rob Burnett believes that women want to be objectified. I'm like, that's really not what I said. But
yeah,
okay.
Well, I mean, yeah, the point, although the thing is they go in not wanting to dress like that, but it's that they inadvertently are drawn to each other in part because of the way they're dressed and how they look to each other.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of funny. So yeah, the writer's strike is a pain in the ass. Yeah, and what's interesting is that all this talk of AI, and something that I pointed to John Campia is that CEOs apparently want to become a bit more reliant on AI to help them create content, even if it's not fully capable of it.
But, yeah, I mean, and it's just that's the thing that everybody who fancies themselves some kind of a creator, what it does is, it levels the playing field so anybody can weigh in, and I just hate that. It's another way that we're going to erode the idea of institutional or collected knowledge. I'd rather have somebody who's been studying an avocation for years and somebody who's really interested in the art form at hand than just somebody who wants to. Oh, I've always wanted to write a novel. Well, now you can with various chatbots. I mean, it's everybody wants to be creative, but to quote what the great Mark Wahlberg said, if you'd invented Facebook, you would have invented Facebook.
Mark Wahlberg? Mark Zuckerberg.
Or Mark Zuckerberg. Did I say Wahlberg?
Yeah, you said Wahlberg.
I've got Mark Wahlberg on the brain because he's starring in Mel Gibson's directing a movie for Lionsgate that Wahlberg's starring in.
Yeah, but what's funny is that somebody actually input a query into ChatGPT about with CEOs wanting to rely on AI more than human writers. They post a query of what can AI do better, be a writer or a corporate CEO? And guess what the answer was?
Corporate CEO.
Yeah.
I mean, no, it's true, because the thing is, because it's not really AI, but because these language models are not necessarily aware themselves, that all they can do is emulate what others have done, other human beings have done. So you're ultimately just getting things that are regurgitated or warmed over. But I mean, I get the appeal of it, but still, it doesn't allow for, it can only take and scrape what it has on the internet. What about, if you want to write a script about a feeling or an emotion where it takes you? I don't think that ChatGPT could do that.
Yeah. Although to be fair,
it can't do it yet.
Yeah. Although we have seen some movies where the scripts felt like they were generated by AI, though.
Yeah, and I'm sure some have been now.
Yeah. Let's see what else. And I actually had a Twitter discussion with Diedrich Bader. about
really?
Yeah, in terms of like how an AI could function as a CEO. And one of the questions I posed was like trying to bring back a diversification in genre contents as opposed to just relying on one major thing. And
Yeah.
he suggested that an AI could come to the conclusion that diversification in genre-based content would lead to greater market influence for the studio, which would in fact be better for the business. That an AI could come to that conclusion. But it seems like CEOs are stuck with the familiar.
Oh yeah, I mean they have to be because everyone's trying to be risk averse. I mean I think that's the real problem with American cinema right now is, even independent cinema, it's seldom that you get something that feels really original. You're just getting another variation on a theme.
Yeah.
And I think that ultimately it should be the filmmakers that decide and hope, but even our best filmmakers can't get enough money to make the movies they want to make unless you're Martin Scorsese and you have Apple to give you as much money as you need. So, but it's a weird, like, where are we going to go as a culture and a race of people in the next 25 years where you don't really have to do very much work anymore to do these things? And that's the thing that scares me. If you can make AI music, why pick up an instrument ever again?
Well, I mean, even with that, it's like, regardless, like you have an AI generated script and perhaps you want to bring in a human writer to, fix it, per se. Whether you bring in a human writer or not to fix it, I don't think there would be any passion for it because creators want to create their own stuff. Like I wrote my own script, like, fully. No AI, no AI influence on that whatsoever. And for me, that was a more gratifying experience.
Yeah, well, yeah, it always is. I mean, I think it always is when you're trying to create something and you're the prime mover behind that creation.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I don't want feedback, of course, but I want to be able to, obviously, me being the one to go from beginning to end. Like, I want to be the one to go from beginning to end, at least in that first run through, before I get my feedback.
Right.
Yeah. I actually, I was curious about something that I've kind of been thinking about. I want your personal input on it. Like I'm not actually asking you to read my screenplay. I know the whole send me your scripts gag. I'm just curious about your personal process of reading screenplays. Do you like to know what the premise of the script is before reading it, or do you like to go in blind and determine that for yourself?
Well, I kind of like to know what it is. Like, I'd like to know at least what genre I'm reading, because if I want to read a mystery or a thriller, I'll read it, or comedy or sci-fi, because it just strikes you the different moods. So if I just had a log line, like a 1 or 2 sentence description of what the script is about, just so I kind of know. I don't know why I don't like going into scripts completely cold.
Yeah,
because I think it's important. The way people write in screenplays is different depending on the subject matter.
Yeah.
So I would rather like to know.
Yeah. Well, I'm still like kind of revising my own personal script. I've only written the one so far.
Right.
Because I haven't had any ideas that I'm personally passionate enough to turn to a screenplay. But I mean, obviously things come up. I think of stuff and revise it when I have.
Yeah. But eventually you gotta finish it until you're gonna like sell it to somebody so then they can pay you to rewrite it.
Yeah. Here's the thing. The only way I feel like I would actually get my script out there is if I myself won the lottery.
Yeah.
So that's me. Like, I wrote my script, next step, win the lottery, but that's never going to happen for me. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Because
all right.
Because that's the thing. Like, I kind of want to retain my own personal vision.
Sure.
And, and obviously if I had the money, I could do that. But obviously,
it's tough. Yeah. I mean, getting that money is hard. Well, listen, man, it was good to see you.
Yeah.
And thanks for still being here and sticking around and coming back into the chat.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, Jeff. I'll see you later.
Later.
Yeah, let's see. Kevin, I think you can unmute now. There you
Hey,
go.
Rob.
How's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm hanging in there.
Yeah,
this is, I need a day where I can just, it's been so difficult having all these puppies.
yeah.
And because they get up at the crack of dawn, and I've been working on this, I had this big presentation yesterday that I'd been working on. So I'm just exhausted.
You're a busy man.
But the presentation went really good.
Oh, that's good.
Cross your fingers.
Good. Yeah,
So-
we're actually watching a dog right now too. It's kind of funny. A neighbor's
yeah.
dog. And we got so much going on right now. It's Mitchell, or my son, is getting ready for graduation, and
Oh, congratulations.
yeah, he's got prom tonight, and so that's fun. So that's
Wow.
interesting. And then yeah, I have to be kind of cool. They just won the section volleyball championship, so that's cool.
That's amazing.
So now they're moving on to state. So they're going to figure that out tonight, who they're going to play or where they're going to go. So it's pretty stoked.
That's really exciting. That's so cool.
It's pretty fun. So yeah, he was pretty stoked. They've been close the last couple of years, but this year they finally got over the hump a little bit. So that was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was fun. It was interesting. I don't remember what day it was. You had a conversation with the writer, and you kind of had a conversation about the strike. And,
Rick Cleveland.
yeah, and it was an interesting discussion. And then last night I was actually watching a video, and it was talking about apprenticeships back in the Renaissance for painters, and how a lot of that has kind of gone away now. And I thought, to your conversation, how he was describing how a lot of younger writers are not getting that apprenticeship type of experience now. So they're finding it very difficult to actually get into the business or actually be good at it, because they're not actually learning all the ins and outs. They may know how to write, but they don't know everything else that has to go along with the business.
It's just so short-sighted to me.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. You know, I enjoy your show, but I also always have to, and when you interview folks, I also understand that there are two sides to everything. And I work for a very large corporation, and I'm not in the white collar upper echelon part of it, but I do understand management, and I do see their side of it. Some of the stuff I do.
Yeah.
So I do see both sides. And sometimes I think people forget that in almost any organization, whether it's sports, entertainment, business, everything is cyclical, and everybody has to work together to have a positive outcome. And I think too often people are clashing, the workers and the upper management, the writers, studios, and everybody's always clashing. And and that's when you have the issues.
Yeah.
And because I see some of the things with the writers, and I understand some of the stuff that they want, but then, like, I saw a couple of demands that they want, like, we want a certain amount of writers in the writers' room, we want certain lengths of contracts, and some of that stuff I scratch my head. I'm like, well, as an individual writer, do they not have their own agents where they can do that?
Well, they do, but the thing is, the way that a writer's room works in television is you've got your head writer, your showrunner, and they sort of are there to set the tone.
Correct.
And then you might have a good writer's room, like 10 people. And if you think about it, you know, you have to figure out, okay, we're going to make, say, 10 episodes of a TV show. Well, where's it going to go? And what's great about writer's room is they become an idea germination machine, where you're throwing out things that could or couldn't happen, and you're playing with them with other people. You're gaming them out, going, okay, that sounds good. So you're gaming that stuff out with people that are very, very smart, essentially. And I think you need that. You need a diversity of voices in the writer's room. And I don't just mean, you know, gender or sexuality or anything like that. I mean diverse, different kinds of people that are all writers can only benefit you. And you have to have a strong showrunner who can pick and choose the best ideas and things like that. So it's very collaborative.
It just seems like what's happening is, would you think that there's a lot of redundancies? There's a lot of writers. So what's happened to me with a lot of this is you have thousands of writers, and I think the gentleman made this point. You have thousands of writers, but there's a lot of them that really aren't doing anything. It's
Right.
like they want a piece of this pie, but they actually really haven't earned any of that pie.
But you still, that's the thing. In order to, people who are Writers Guild WGA members, they've had to deliver the goods.
Okay.
It's very difficult to get into the WGA without, or impossible without having done things, because they have strict rules to let people in.
Okay, so they are kind of, they don't just let anybody in.
No,
I'm a writer. Hey,
yeah, no, you have to have achieved a certain level with writing movies or television or something before they'll even.
Because that's what I was always worried about. Because a lot of times, and this isn't about unions or anything else, but when you talk to certain people, they will say one of the negatives, I guess you could say, about unions is sometimes they protect the not as good. The people that, and that's just something that I have observed. It's not like an opinion or anything. That's something that you kind of overhear sometimes is, you have certain level, but it's protecting a lot of the lower level people, and they're trying to get the same amount.
Yeah,
that's not what it should be. It should be a meritocracy. People that are better at it, they deserve to get the jobs.
I couldn't agree more.
And
I couldn't agree more. But with writers, it's a little bit more difficult because, in Hollywood, especially a writer's room, people want to work with people that they've met before. Like in Star Trek 4 or Star Trek 4, Picard season 3, Terry Matalas hired a lot of his writing staff that he'd work with on 12 Monkeys because he knows their strengths. He knows that he can pull it off and he trusts them. And the funny thing about Hollywood, everyone's like, well, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And the thing about Hollywood is, it's so hard. The days are so long. You want to work with people that are first and foremost great at their jobs, but you also want to work with people that can play well with others, because filmmaking is such a social business. It's
you want to trust that you can like go away and that person can do what they need to do without you needing to watch over them 24/7.
And I think that's kind of the way to be. And with the WGA, you can't really fake it. You have to have the credits. You have to be accredited, and the proof is in the pudding there, I think.
And I had one other question real quick, and it may be something that it might be a goofy question, but there
are no goofy questions.
Well, it may be. If someone were to have an idea of a story, they laid out all the notes, they laid everything out. Is there a person that is this what you would call a script? Like if I said, I have all these notes of a story that I want, but I cannot put it in book form or whatever type of form it is. I don't have the talent to do that. I have the ideas, I just can't put it down. Is there someone or that
would be
it in?
Well, they don't, that's like a treatment or an outline or something. There's nobody, you can send them in and have them registered, the idea registered, but they don't really do that.
I couldn't send in and say, hey, I need someone that can put this in book form.
No, they might be able, if you call they might find somebody but they don't usually do that.
Okay. Because that's something that I've been thinking of for a long time. I got so many things and I'm sure a lot of people are like this. I got so many things in my head, but I don't know if I could put it down and put it into a story form.
Right.
It's like, man, I know what I want, but I don't know if I could get this down. So I was wondering if there was been such a thing.
I mean, you can look for writers. There's always writers groups, but to find somebody that really knows what they're doing, it'd be hard.
Yeah, I'd be very particular. I'd be extremely particular about what I want. So, well, that's cool. And then I was going to show you, have you ever seen this? I picked this up, and I think all your folks in England may know this. Have you ever seen this thing?
No.
It's a 600, it's all kinds of stories back in the, I think, 40s and 50s strip.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's all English. RAF military stuff.
Sure.
The way it's written, there's a lot of stuff in there is probably couldn't be put down if you wrote it today. So how they call some of the people and whatnot. But
oh yeah, you get canceled. I mean, it's so weird. It's so bizarre that everybody expects that, oh, the past was so problematic because they're not as evolved as we are today. I'm like, give me a break.
It's funny because if I showed my mom some of this, she's German, and she would be like, yeah, that's what they called us. That's what we're called. You know, I mean, that's the way it goes, you know.
Yeah.
You learn and whatnot. But anyways, that's all. I just wanted to ask a couple of questions.
Well, they were good questions, and it was good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, man, and happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
A lot of birthdays coming up.
I know.
Birthday too. I got to get on this stuff.
And tomorrow, Dieter and I are both celebrating our birthdays on the Let's Get Physical media show. So that'll be fun.
That's rad. My mom's actually in Germany right now. She's seeing her brother and sister. So it's been raining. So.
Yeah. Well, I will see you around. It was great to see you and Kevin come back again. I mean, it's always great to have you around these parts, sir.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, dude. I'll see you later. Maria Espino is next in. Hello. How are you?
I'm doing great. Doing fantastic. I have two main topics I want to discuss.
Uh-oh. Okay.
No, okay. You're great. You're great. You're fine. So Jedi Survivor.
Yeah, how do you like it? I haven't played it yet.
Okay. Love it. And for anybody that doesn't play video games, there is already like out there the whole cutscenes and like a 3-hour and 47-minute like piece.
Yeah, but that's no fun.
Well, there's some people who don't, you know, they don't video game. So, but yes, it's fantastic. I love it. Obviously, but there were two big problems that have been circulating about it.
Uh-oh.
One, of course, is the bugs and the PC port not working right. Which has led to some discussions in our video game industry about the future of these high-end games possibly not making it to a PC port.
I mean, that's crazy sounding thing. That sounds so nuts to me, but I can see it happening. You know, if like, especially if video game companies, if it's a third party and they, you know, who do they have to license to, or who gets it, or how do we do that, and which deals do we make?
Yeah, but it's also part of testing. It's right. It's because,
well, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing when you see, I think it takes sometimes 4 or 5 years to bring these games, and a lot of people just don't want to play. They're so involved that people just don't want to take the time to figure out where the glitches are.
Well, yes, but the problem is that, you know, unlike consoles, like your PlayStation 5 is the exact same configuration as my PlayStation 5, right? When it comes to PCs, there's 10,000 different configurations.
Right.
And so I think that's what's become untenable for video game companies. And there has been talks of just Xing the PCs out of the equation.
I could see that.
Yes, because it's like you can't possibly test for every single configuration that's up there. And I mean, we would need 10 years to do that. Right?
Yeah. And a lot more money.
Yes. And not only that, but like that's just untenable to me. It's unimaginable. So there was that. And then the second one was the appearance of the High Republic. And you know,
you mean, what do I think of that era? Or like why?
Yes, like there's been a lot of like.
Well, here's what I find so weird. Like, you know, the High Republic was supposed to be very inclusive, for instance. You know, that was their, and I'm like, okay, what the fuck does that have to do with a society where you walked into Mos Eisley Cantina in Star Wars, and there were alien women that were giving Luke the once over. You know, there's Dr. Evazan and all the Ponda Baba or whatever. There's all these aliens in this bar, and everybody's drinking together.
Yes.
And the funny thing is, you know, we don't serve that kind here. You're droids. Like this place, it'll serve any alien trash from around the galaxy, but it won't serve droids. I get it, because droids don't drink probably. But I mean, it's such a weird thing that they make the High Republic, and all they wanted to do is be reflexive of us on Earth. And I'm like, where's the really cool fleshed out alien race? You know, where's that? Like, why don't you make us something? If you're going out into space, why suddenly do you want to have everybody look like us and reflect our ideals back
Yeah.
at us? I don't get it. It's so weird.
Yeah. And the thing is that I've read the books, and the books are exactly what you are describing. Right. So, but because the authors and, those people are so outspoken about their political beliefs, I feel
it's almost like these
tainted,
people.
It's tainted the work, right?
Oh, I think it absolutely has.
Yes.
And what I don't understand is I feel that a lot of the a lot of this activism in the arts that we're injecting all these people are injecting they're basically injecting themselves into their art.
Yeah.
And I wonder, I'm like, have you guys lived enough?
Yeah.
Like why is it you want to inject yourselves or whatever your pet peeve or your community is to throw it in? Like to me, that's sort of counterproductive. It would be like putting not hardcore, but like R-rated sex scenes in Star Wars. Why do that? It's a no, it's just not needed. And that's not what it is.
No.
And
no, it's not.
And the High Republic is like, everybody comes along like, oh, we're going to make it be reflective. And I'm like, it's not even our civil. It's in a galaxy of far, far away a long time ago. Why are you making these false equivalents with us human beings today?
Yeah.
It's such a weird,
yeah.
To me, it's an utter failure of what a science fiction or fantasy or horror writer, if you're going to work in the fantastical as far as genres go, why not make the show or the movie about that very thing? Why do you then have to inject a bunch of real world politics from our world into
that? Yeah. So I don't know. Okay. So there are bits of it in the Survivor game, and a lot of people have
noticed it.
Yes. And it's very like obvious and that kind of stuff, but it's not the overall story, right? Like it's not part of that overall story. But it is a point of contention. Those are the 2 point of contentions that game has had right now. And then the second, go ahead.
No, I think and I don't think the people that are criticizing it are wrong.
Right.
It's just like, look, I swear like a sailor, but when I hear fucks and shits in Star Trek, it's so jarring and it so takes me out. Not that people can't swear, but in this particular IP in Star Trek, they just don't swear. And when they did swear, as the show evolved, like on Earth, when the taxi drivers get out of the way, dumbass, and Kirk's like, well, double dumbass on you, and he doesn't even know how to swear.
Right.
And then Spock's like, this your use of colorful metaphors, and it's such a because he's never heard
funny moment, right? Yeah.
And but also becomes one where Kirk responds, but I hate all that. I hate trying to appeal to this weird political ideology that's permeated our culture, and you can't get away from it because you're going to look back at 10 years or 20 years, 30 years and go, why did I put this in there? What was I thinking?
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
The question is, you really weren't. And
no, you weren't. But the stories of the books for the High Republics are actually really great stories. Like anybody that's read them, I mean, there's people who's going to be like, oh, God, because they come in with a predetermined bias, right? Just based on the author and based on what's going on in that, in that particular era, they'll come into it with a bias. But the books are actually really good. I just, wish the authors would just. Right.
Yeah, I mean,
stop talking.
What's so strange to me too is, I mean, I've said this before, I've had LGBTQ friends, for instance, since I was 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I partied with them. I grew up with them. I was always the token straight guy that would go to the Madonna concert. It was like that. And there was never this agenda pushing.
No.
I never heard, I mean, everyone knew I had all these friends. Nobody cared. Nobody talked about it. No. Now, I mean, I really do think it's a result of social media. Like everybody feels like I have to get up and be an activist for whatever thing I'm being an activist for.
Right. I mean, look at the Oscars, right? With their now new requirements.
I mean, how do you make a movie like Oppenheimer under the new Oscar requirements? I mean, I don't know. And
if that movie does not get nominated.
I mean, I hope it's great. It looks fantastic, but you look at that stuff and I always find it so odd. I mean, we'll bring a Korean. Here's the thing. I've always wondered in like Korea, because it's a pretty homogenized place. I've been to South Korea once, and it's pretty homogenized. Do the Koreans, like, does the equivalent of the Korean government make an inclusion rider like they have, you know, for us? So when Parasite comes, does Parasite give the rest of the world enough representation?
Yeah.
I mean, because it would be like we're asking Americans to be inclusive of all people. And the funny thing is no one's being kept out of the entertainment business.
No,
for their religions, their color, nobody.
Yeah.
No one's stopping anybody from picking up a camera and making something. No one. The problem is it's really, really hard. And like, if you look at the percentage of, say, Black Americans, I think America's now 13%, 14% Black. Of those people, how many want to go into the arts? How many people want to go? Take any group of people, take any 10 people. Doesn't matter what color they are, their religious preference or whatever, and ask how many of them that would want to go the long, hard road of the arts and entertainment business. You might get maybe. And then if there's that one, are they going to stick with it?
Right.
So there's this
they have
really
the desire to do it, but they don't have the follow through.
No, and that the same is true of like, oh, we need more women directors. The reason there's so few women directors in Hollywood is because women are smart. They're pragmatists. Directing a movie is a nightmare scenario for a lot of people. Like, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
And so they say all this stuff, and I always ask myself, okay, so getting to Hollywood's already, there's only a few people that are going to do it. It's hard enough, and I'm all for sharing. Let's hear as many stories and let's get as many people involved as possible. Yeah. The problem is, of that population, of that 14% population of Black Americans, how many that culture doesn't exactly say, well, let's make sure you're the next Rembrandt and we're going to send you to art school for 10 years. I mean, it's not like that. Like, no one's being kept out of the film business. It's just, it's really hard to get in, and it's really hard to stay.
Absolutely.
And I've worked with people, movie productions or any kind of production, video game production. It's like you're at a traveling carnival. There's all these disparate people from all walks of life, religious beliefs, sexualities. They're all there, but because they're artistically inclined, they understand, hey, let's get together and we're going to go put on a show.
Yeah.
And they all kind of get that. But even it's rare here.
It is.
That anybody comes in, and no one's going to get, you're not going to get not let in. And people are like, why aren't there more women directors? The problem is not with Hollywood. The problem is fostering an environment where a girl can grow up and know she could be a film director.
Right. And I think that's the thing that's getting overlooked, right? Is the fact that we need to empower them from young girls, right? Like the young little girls, right? Like, empower them throughout their lives, and then they'll grow up in a society where this doesn't exist.
Yeah. Right? And we've got so much stuff like 10 years ago, I didn't know anybody that wanted to be called non-binary. Yes. I didn't never. And it's almost like, because of social media, this thing has come. And I think normal adolescent angst is now giving way to, in this case, being non-binary means you have a group of people that are going to say, oh, you're non-binary, congratulations, that was a really brave thing to do. Yeah. So your angst-ridden teenage self is suddenly getting all this affirmation because you've basically just joined a club.
Because you've been questioning that of yourself, right? And so you've been doing that, and you're like, that must be what it is.
Right. Why do I feel this way? Oh, it's because I'm non-binary.
It's because of that. Right.
But now we're seeing it. I mean, if that were the case, if this was a genuine phenomenon that was occurring, why did it not occur 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago?
I think that it's all boils down to social media, right? Like, social media is a world power. Right.
No, a decentralized world power where it's perpetuated. Yeah,
yes. So it becomes that. Listen, sorry.
No, I was going to say, this is a long conversation. It's really good though, and but I'm like, it's frustrating because I feel like this has been engineered. to distract.
Yeah.
And it's no one can defeat us militarily, so there has been an effort on a part of many different groups of people, I think, to derail this country by ginning up these controversies. And like what is getting more talk these days than like Dylan Mulroney and Bud Light and trans issues and all this? And it's like, what, for the amount of people that this affects on planet Earth and in the United States, why are we even talking about it? Because I've never met a person, maybe because I know a lot of LGBTQ people, but I've never met anyone in my life ever that's afraid of trans people, ever. As a matter of fact, I've got friends that are, and people that, and yet this word transphobic, which literally means fear of, you have a phobia of trans people.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before, but maybe that's because I've always been in the arts.
Well, maybe
no one
it's
cares.
just, maybe it's just not fear, but I definitely have know people who, just.
Oh, I know people that they hate
that.
people of color. They hate people that are gay. They hate that, and they're just going to hate. They're going to hate
they're
those.
Just going to
people.
hate for hate, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But listen,
I'm Jewish. They hate Jews.
Yeah, but I wanted to ask you, like, we finally did release our full teaser trailer.
I know. I was pushing it.
Okay.
I was putting it out there.
Yeah. Did you get to see it at all?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I looked through all that. It's incredible.
Yeah. The music is getting the most buzz for it.
Yeah, it's incredible.
We've got 15,000 views on that video for a channel that had no views, brand new channel.
Which is amazing.
Right? Yeah.
And it'll just keep
I'm
going.
Really excited about it. So just wanted to
be proud.
see if you'd seen it.
Oh yeah, no, I was looking through all that. It's great.
Thank you so much, Robert, for all your support on it. I really.
Oh, absolutely, and I'll keep supporting it, 100%.
Right. Thanks, guys.
It was good to speak with you.
All right, take care.
All right, I'll see you next time. Let's see who is up next. Is Kevin? I can't see if that's Kevin. Do I know? Yes, Kevin, I believe you are next. Or Anthony? Wait. Harold, if I'll give you Anthony because I can't see Kevin. If you're Kevin, you don't have video. Well, hang on, let me do Anthony. I'll go back to you, Kevin. I'm sorry. Anthony, what is up?
What's up, Rob? How you doing? Happy.
Nice shirt, dude. Look at that shirt.
Thank you so much.
I've never seen that shirt. Thank you, by the way.
I got this off of Amazon. I got all my t-shirts off of Amazon.
Yeah, that's really, I like the whatever that is. That just regular cotton fabric around the S?
Polyester kind of fat t-shirt.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
I like it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And it's funny because I kind of wanted to piggyback off of the conversation to keep the conversation going. That you were talking about, like you were saying, social media is the driving force behind everything. Like you were even touching upon this, about on Midnight Musings last night. About I was playing around with the GP
Chat GPT.
Yeah, yesterday evening, afternoon after work. And I just typed in the most randomest thing just because I wanted to see what kind of response that I would get. And it would not give me an answer because it was more along the, okay, I'll tell you what I put in. What did I put in? What movie would you recommend for to watch if you're having a beautiful Black woman come over on a Friday night? And it would not give me an answer because of it gave me the same pretty much response that it gave you on the show last night about, I cannot give you this answer because of, I cannot, it was just amazing. And it just was
and all you did was you just asked it, you gave adjectives. If you just said probably woman, it would have been fine.
Right.
But because you said beautiful Black, it sees that immediately as some kind of and that's, it's dangerous. And that's the kind of thing and I'm looking at that thinking, wow. And you see just how much bias there is and how it only wants to, because if it was really, and it'll get smarter, but if you say a beautiful Black woman, I would love to see what that answer would be, because what films would films would it give you? I want to know the answer to that.
Right. I was thinking it would give me maybe a Eddie Murphy film, like a Boomerang, or some kind of relationship kind of a film or something like that. And it wouldn't even give me an answer. And I'm just it's just amazing how everything is just so.
Well, you realize that this bias that's been injected into everything, like what you asked, it had no. It's literally, I've got this beautiful black woman coming over. You gave it things. You gave the adjectives. Okay, beautiful and black, I guess. That and how I would say, I would look at that and go, okay, well, you're saying if a woman's hot, that's it, there's what do hot women like in terms of movies, there is, it's a limited thing. You're not gonna, I don't think that a woman's gonna necessarily want to watch, oh, I don't know, take your, like all the, maybe she would, but what you want to have a romantic evening, that's what you're saying. I want to
movies with Tom Cruise or anything like that, you know. I just want to watch something that's romantic, like Hitch or
right. And see, that would have, to me, that would have been a perfect answer. By the way, I own that movie. I have a Blu-ray of Hitch. I love Hitch.
I love Hitch. I love All the Right Moves too. That's one of my favorite movies too. I would personally watch that with the beautiful woman, but
you mean the Tom Cruise All the Right Moves, the football movie?
All right, yeah, I love that movie too.
It's a great movie. But see, that's what I find so weird is now everyone is so worried about this potential bias and like we've lost all of our common sense. It's so bizarre. And the thing is, this has happened recently. Like, I think I've never gone back and done the research, but I thought, you know, as I got older in life, that we were all evolving quite nicely. I mean, sure, we had our problems, but we are on an evolutionary path. And I've often told people this story. I remember going to see, this is so silly, but the movie Step Up to the Streets.
Okay.
And I never even saw Step Up 1. So I go to see, it was kind of a joke. A bunch of us were kind of hammered. We go see Step Up to the Streets. And the funny thing that follows, so it's about these dance crews.
Like competition or something like that, right?
Yeah. And the good dance crew, our heroes, it's a very ethnically diverse dance crew. You know, and everyone likes everybody. And then the evil dance crew was more like one ethnicity or one, it was less diverse. And yet and I was like, wow. And I remember thinking, sitting in there going, yeah, kids are going to be okay if they can come up with these kinds of diverse dance crews to fight the evil dance crew, we're going to be okay. And I thought that was it was such a silly thing to think, but I thought that here's an indicator that we're doing all right. The evolutionary process is gonna, and now I feel it's completely derailed. Over the last 10 years, it's completely derailed. And all of these, because again, the lack of respect for, you know, anyone who's perceived, if you say the wrong thing in the wrong way, or you're not sympathetic enough, you still might be a supporter of pick your group, but you might say something that might be a little critical of that group. And you're still a supporter, an ally, but then someone sees what you've said, because you're not 100% a supporter, you should be burned at the stake. And it's so it's so weird that we live in this society now, because we have the best communication tools we ever have, and yet people are scared to actually be honest and really communicate with people on a real level, because adult, mature people should be able to have disagreements and still walk away friends.
Right. No, you're right. And even when it comes to like films, like I'm huge on horror films. Like horror films of the 1980s pretty much showed.
Yeah, and I can't get what, Psycho Cop 2? Vinegar Syndrome was like out of it or something. Like it's out, it's back ordered. So I'm gonna get it though.
Okay. Or either, you know what I'll do? I'll order a copy and I'll PO box it to you too.
I'm on the hunt. I'm on the hunt. So, but yeah, I mean, horror. It's so funny because horror as a genre. I was just reading an article yesterday about how lately horror movies that have had mother issues, like everything from Barbarian to so many issues where motherhood is being shown as being either evil but you know, kids and mothers and all that. Motherhood's a perfect milieu to set horror movies in.
Right. It's
great whether you're a woman that's going to become a mother, or your child it's always been that way. Your child gets possessed by the devil. You know, it's
with Carrie, you're going through problems with a teenage daughter, and you know, like it's been like that for years, right?
Yeah, because that's truly a nightmare scenario for both children and parents. What if your mom is an evil witch, or what if your child is a monster? I mean, that's the very basis. That's one of the most primal fears of humanity, I would think. So why not make those kinds of horror movies?
Right. No, exactly. I agree. It's just like you said, the trajectory of things are kind of going backwards instead of progressing forward. So
yeah, and the question is why?
Yeah.
How did that happen? Why did suddenly we become so tribal and everybody's screaming and yelling? And look, I understand when we there still is a lot of racism all around. There's still a lot of hatred. There's a lot of disrespect because, as Yoda said, it's easier and more seductive to do that. You know, and the thing about to feel really good about yourself takes work. Like you have to work at it. You have to understand, like if you're following your goals or pursuing your dreams or whatever it is that you're doing, that makes you feel good. But a lot of people don't. You know, they lead miserable lives of quiet desperation, and they are not. I mean, you have to go out and create your own joy. You have to go find it. No one's going to give it to you.
Right.
You can't buy it. People think they can buy it, but they can't. And I think in this day and age, when you can't do that, it's easier to be disrespectful and or go after people with righteousness on your side because it makes you feel something you're not feeling any other way.
Makes you feel good. It makes someone feel empowered because I can shit on someone online because I was listening to the conversation on Musings a week or two ago over a figure. You know, why do you like this figure? This figure is absolutely horrible. Like, why would you attack someone because they personally like something and you just want to make someone's life miserable?
It's so weird.
Yeah.
You know, like for instance, okay, I love Beverly Hills Cop is one of my favorite movies of the 80s. I was on it. So they made this Beverly Hills Cop figure of Axel Foley. Is the head sculpt perfect? No, and it's not a licensed head sculpt, but you know, this is kind of the pose. I got to put him on the stand, but the pose he's in the poster for Beverly Hills Cop 2, you know, the gun pose, the hand of pot. But if I put this, and he's got the Detroit Lions shirt, he's got his Mumford athletic shirt on, so everyone knows when I put this on the shelf with his stand, that what it is, that it's Eddie Murphy, Beverly Hills Cop. And I'm putting him on a shelf with all these other cops from other movies like RoboCop and Vincent Hanna from Heat and stuff. And so like, I know it's not a perfect head sculpt, but it's good enough that I enjoy it. Right. And I can put him on the shelf and go, everyone's going to go, that's Beverly Hills Cop. And the smart people go, oh, you posed him like he's on the one sheet for Beverly Hills Cop 2. Right. And like, why get mad about it? People are bitching that, like, I'd rather have a representation of Eddie Murphy and the costume is great and all that. And if it's not perfect, it's not perfect. But getting third-party figures, it's unlicensed. You take what you get, and I enjoy it. And if somebody doesn't, there's people that have been shitting all over that figure, and I'm like, okay, I get it. The head sculpt's not perfect, but if you look at it in a certain, you could all people's faces are changing all the time when they're talking and moving and stuff, and people yet they bitch and moan and complain, even to me. I'm like, I like this figure. That figure sucks. Okay, I like it.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to put it in my Module case. Right. I mean, I think it'd be funny to have a display of all my police officer figures, right? All of that, because that's cool. Right. And people, I just don't get it, man. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. Thank you for your time, Rob. And once again, enjoy your birthday.
I will. And Anthony, it's good to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
Psycho Cop 2, got to get it.
Psycho Cop, we're gonna get it. We'll get it.
All right, man. I'll see you later. And our own Tom Jr. Jackson. What up, dude? Uh-oh. I can't be a goof person without you, Tom. It's okay. I'll wait for you. So quiet. I feel so alone, Tom. So alone. Well, Tom, I'll come back to you. I'll circle around, Tom. I'll go to Rob next. Rob, you're up. Or wait, I guess Tom Jr. Jackson. Hang on, Rob. Tom's here.
Hello.
Okay, now we can hear you.
Okay.
You're like Bud Brigman in the abyss. You're back on the air.
You muted me, and then you know. All right. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Doing good. Doing lots of streaming.
I know. So have I been.
I know. Are you enjoying live streaming?
I like it.
It's
I like
fun,
it. I've done 3 or 4 so far.
Yeah. Well, now you can finally interview me. We'll do a live stream on your channel.
I did a Funko Friday.
Nice.
And that went well. And I'm going to be interviewing Maria.
Oh, nice. About a project. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. She and I just have to set up the details.
Nice.
Yeah.
What software are you using? What software are you using to stream? Are you using
I've been going through YouTube at the moment.
Right, but I mean, are you using Zoom or something, or you're just going directly from the camera?
Right now I'm just going through YouTube itself.
Right. Okay.
And then I got to figure out how to set something up to go through, and I think I might try to get the StreamYards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which
something
is good.
like that.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, but yeah, probably about, I don't know, a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, I had a great Zoom chat with King Tannic and Taylor.
Oh yeah, I remember you guys were cooking up some good stuff on that call.
We had a blast until I brought up the whole thing about the human centipede, and then Taylor decided he was going to find, he put his picture behind him as the prison scene from the Human Centipede 3, and then he was finding evidence of human centipedes from Shrek and Pokemon, and we were losing it. It was too much.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun.
Sorry about that.
So we're trying to figure out when he's not so busy and when Tannic is not so busy, we're going to try to do something.
Yeah, that would be those. I mean, Taylor's hilarious. I have
He
to have him on
is.
the show. He's just hilarious.
And it was just the both of us at first, because I thought, okay, let's just hang out and chat, get to know each other, and see how the vibe is.
Yeah.
And then if the vibe goes well, then we'll go from there. So it was fine from that. And then King Tannic came in, and the three of us are having so much fun riffing off each other. So yeah. So I'm like, okay, this is gonna go very well. Now we just have to think of a topic, because the three of us were just going off in so many different directions. I was like, this is it. This is how it should be. And then if it goes really well, let's sell it to Rob.
Yeah, well, bring it on. We need, need more shows to get my 12 hours a day of people streaming.
Well, the other night you were doing a stream, and I forgot what you were talking about, but at one point you brought up either the Jaws or the Meg, and the entire chat was changing movie titles to include the word Jaws into it. And it was so much fun. And it was the best because there were no problems that night. Everybody was joining in. We were having fun, except for one person that came in and he was looking at the chat and went, "What the hell is up with you people liking Jaws a lot? What's the deal with Jaws? I can't take it." And he had to leave.
I remember there was a bar we used to go to called Lola's, and in that it was when they announced the title, The Phantom Menace, which we all thought was a terrible title. And we spent all night in the bar just getting completely more wasted and coming up with stupid names, like mashing up movie titles with The Phantom Menace. And we just thought it was the funniest thing in the world. And it was. But
yeah. We had a blast. I do remember seeing The Phantom Menace. And I used to have the VHS, and it came with a little frame of the film.
Right.
Oh, I wish I still had that. That would have been worth a lot.
Yeah.
Now, but you brought something up last night. how you're talking about autographs and stuff. I'm sitting there and I'm watching you and I'm thinking, well, I don't need Rob's autograph. I got the next best thing. I get to be friends with him.
I don't know if that's such a good thing. No, but I think you're right. I mean, look, I think there is even me when I meet celebrities, doing interview stuff, when I've interviewed so many different celebrities that I've loved for the various movies I've made DVD stuff on. It never gets old when you meet a celebrity that's a movie star, for instance, that's been in, if you're a big fan, like I'm a Tom Cruise fan. And when I got to meet Tom Cruise and basically talk to him one-on-one for an hour, at first I was terrified. And I'm like, why would, I didn't, you don't ever want to look foolish. Right. And I think it's true for anybody. But we talked for an hour and I didn't ask him for his autograph. I only get things signed if they're meaningful to me. So I would never, just because I interview people, like that's why I got Christopher Lee to sign that poster.
Yeah, that's a great story.
I mean, that was a special occasion. And I used to love to get authors, especially horror, dark fantasy authors. And just because their books, I collected hardcover dark fantasy, small press books and stuff, and they meant something to me. So for authors, I feel that if I love an author's book, if you read a book by an author that you like, you kind of feel like they understand you and they've done this great work that you love. And like there's an author named Robert McCammon, and he wrote this vampire novel that I read at summer camp called They Thirst. And I read that book in 1981, and I got Dark Harvest put out a slipcased hardcover version of that book. And it's not the first edition of that book. I think the paperback I have is the first edition, and I met Robert McCammon at this event, and I got to spend the whole day with him, and he signed a lot of these books. And that copy of They Thirst, that slipcased copy of that book, was one of the things that was in my storage locker when I lost it, along with all of my, like my Anne Rice first editions of Interview with the Vampire and Vampire Lestat, and those things I cared about, because every one of those autographs that I had to go and get myself. Like I went to a book signing, or I met this author for whatever reason. And those mattered to me because those books mattered to me. And I think that's why people like to get the people that like to get autographs. I don't know, collecting, I think autographs is a different thing, but for people who want to get autographs, it's a meaningful interaction with somebody that's meant something in your life, and you want a memento of that meaningful interaction. And it would have been, I would love to have had Tom Cruise like autograph my Risky Business Blu-ray, only because I love that movie so much. And it's 40 years old this year, which is astonishing to even think about. But
I have.
Did we lose you? You might have frozen. I think you froze, Tom. So I'm going to move to Rob.
And then there is an Eric Idle.
Hang on a second. We have lost Tom. We've lost you. You've frozen, and we can't hear anything you're saying. We haven't been able to hear.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear. Hello? Yeah, I can. We can hear you now.
Okay. I have 2 books that are autographed. One is The Close Encounters of the Third Kind: Visual History.
No, that's a great book too.
And the other is Eric Idle's Road to Mars, I think it's called.
Okay.
And I got these from secondhand book websites, not knowing they were autographed.
Right. That's cool.
And those are like 2 of the coolest things I have. And I also have Val Kilmer's book, his autobiography that he wrote, and that's signed.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, actually, I have something I need to ask you. The other day, I was on Facebook, and I'm on the Gilbert Godfrey listener page, and someone posted a tweet from you, and it was about Ellen Barkin
Oh yeah,
being in Bucker. Was that
Bucker
the other
Banzai.
day you wrote that?
No, so that I just reposted that. So a couple of years ago, I love Ellen Barkin, and a
Yeah,
couple of
because I saw that on the site, and I'm like, I wrote, well, funny you should post this because Ray Garton is a member of that Facebook group, and I go, both Ray Garton and I are friends with Mr. Burnett,
yeah,
and it's so funny that you posted that.
yeah.
And
It was so
that's one of the greatest. It's a great tweet, and her response is the best.
So for those of you who don't know, a couple of years ago, it's always funny to me. Like I tweeted, I said something like, I wonder if Ellen Barkin gets up in the morning, and I tagged Ellen Barkin because she's on Twitter. I wonder if Ellen Barkin like gets up in the morning and looks in the mirror and ever thinks to herself, damn girl, I was in The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai across the 8th dimension. And then that's what I wrote. And how cool is that? And she wrote me back because I tagged her. She goes, I think about that all the time. And she said, I love that movie. It was ahead of its time and all that. And you know, I guess I tweeted that and tagged her in it with the idea that maybe if she saw it, she would write back, because that's why I tagged her. And she did. And it was so cool that she wrote back. And I think that's one of the great things about Twitter and kind of the modern age is you can get to people, not all people, but a lot of people, you know, if you approach them in a fun way and you genuinely you have to genuinely like something that a person's made. They have to recognize that you're not full of shit.
I actually got a response back from what's his name? Hugh Kwan.
Oh yeah. Short round.
Yeah. I have the Superman 78 graphic novel.
Right.
And in it there is a page where all this destruction is happening in Metropolis. And you see these like 4 or 5 kids, and it's the Goonies. And short round, Data is like, we picked the wrong day to come to this town. And
that's
they're
funny.
all there, like looking. They have like a map, and they're looking around Metropolis. And apparently, the story is that Brainiac is going to take Metropolis and shrink it and keep it for himself. And in the story itself, when Krypton blew up, Superman's parents didn't die. He had shrunken wherever Superman's parents lived, and he had them. And then he captures Superman as Superman meets his parents.
Oh wow!
It is one of the greatest graphic novels. And at the end is a beautiful, not in remembrance, but a dedication to Dick Donner.
Oh, that's really nice.
And it really is in that vein of, if they didn't do Superman 3 and 4, this would have been the third one, and it would have been fantastic.
Yeah, that sounds great. Wow.
Yeah, because it's in that same vein as the Batman 89 one as well.
Yeah, I'll have to read that for sure.
Yeah. And happy birthday to you, sir.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Now we can finally get to Rob.
All right. Okay. All right.
So,
well, I'll
Rob,
let you get on with the other folks.
Yes, sir.
All right. You have a
You're
good
up,
one.
Rob, with your Cosmo Navy shirt on.
Hello, sir.
How are things?
Good. I wanted to apologize to you first, because I sent you a tweet photo from Times Square wearing this shirt, and my wife called it baiting. Because I said I bought this shirt because I saw you wear it once, and I do love Space Battleship Yamato.
Oh, it's the greatest thing ever. And a nice Picard vinyl you have there.
Well, so that was the other thing. I also wanted to apologize, leading off our conversation with apologies. When you over a year ago said Picard season 3 was worth watching, I didn't believe you.
Many people did not.
It's like, but you've watched the man for years. You've owned Free Enterprise on VHS when it first came out. Why? It was a very back and forth in my head. And then when Dave Cullen has said, you know what, actually it's pretty good, I'm like, oh, I've forsaken Rob's, warnings. So I am sorry, but I did love it. The vinyl arrived yesterday. I only have one friend with a vinyl player that I'm going to go visit tomorrow to listen.
Oh yeah.
I do love the track "Make It So." Many emotions felt in that scene.
Oh yeah.
As an old Next Gen fan.
Yeah.
With that conversation about autographs, I finally met Michael Okuda last year at Ticonderoga.
Oh, nice.
And his book, The Technical Manual, was something that I read as a kid. We had a copy in middle school.
Over and over again.
I bought a copy that just got destroyed, and it led to a lifelong love of technical drawing, which led me into architecture, which I do now in New York City. And I told that to him, and he said, the actors get those stories all the time, but this is a first for me. I'm like,
wow.
It was pretty great. Funny enough, I was wearing the Battleship New Jersey hat, and he said, "Oh yes, the new USS New Jersey. Yeah, she's got a great history and a great future." And I thought he was referring to the new submarine, but I'm pretty sure he meant the scene from the Fleet Museum, which had me floored. So he's a clever man, a little sleek.
Mike is great. Mike and Denise are the nicest people in the world.
Yeah.
And their books are great too. What I love is the timeline book they did, not the compendium, but what is it? They did two versions of it about the Star Trek. It's
the encyclopedias?
No, it's not the encyclopedias. Let me see what it's, because I love the hardcover encyclopedia though. Why am I drawing a blank on this? Let's see, Mike and Denise Okuda.
I had them sign that too.
Yeah, that's what they got the double volume.
Yes, the third edition they told me to buy, but it's out of print.
Yeah, it's incredible. Chronology, the Star Trek chronology, the history of the future, which, I've always been bummed out for them because, and this is another thing, Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek Strange New Worlds completely throw off. I mean, they've completely destroyed the continuity of all these things that I grew up loving, like the chronology and everything.
Oh, okay.
They put everything in order, and none of what's happened in modern Star Trek fits or makes any sense. The timelines are different, people are different, and it's like, clearly, I know it's not a big deal, but it is kind of a big deal. So all this stuff that the Okudas painstakingly, they have to like force these square pegs into these round holes, and they don't fit.
I know it's always an off joke, but the Disco Klingons, when they showed up, the first thing I said to myself is, well, they spent 30 years trying to retcon, and I always thought, effectively an Enterprise, and he just threw that out the window again. Thank you.
Yeah, and I read there's an article on an interview with Akiva Goldsmith. He's like, yeah, when we didn't want to use canon, we didn't. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
And I read that and I'm like, then your show doesn't matter to me, because why are you? On one hand, you want us to believe that this is a precursor show to the Enterprise, the original series, and yet if you're not going to make it believable as the very thing you're trying to make, then why should I watch it?
One thing that I've always thought with prequels, you're fighting against people's assumed headcanon.
Right.
And a lot of people are always going to be more favorable to, I always thought it was this, or I always thought. So you're kind of already fighting an uphill battle. Which is, I think you had brought this up in a conversation with Terry Metalis. One of the things that I loved the most about Picard season 3 was it brought back fun discussions with my friends. I have two good friends that we grew up together, all big Star Trek fans. We set aside a call, because one lives in Arizona and one is in Washington, and I'm in New Jersey. We sat down like a 2-hour time on a Monday and like, let's just talk. And it's just like as it was 20 plus years ago. And I think that was something sorely missing. I mean, I don't want to say that. I know in modern Trek, there's a lot of people who will have those discussions, and I'm happy that they can. But for me, it was a return to that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and also the characters and the emotions and the feelings and all that. It was an element of Star Trek's greatest hits. They were touching on all of these things, but for me, I'm like, it's really interesting that the Board Queen and Vatic would team up, because you have these two women that were both, in a way, they were both wronged almost in very similar fashion by the Federation.
Right.
And so there's a reason that they would hook up. Their mutual hatred and
the friend of the enemy of my enemy for now.
Right.
Yeah.
For now.
For now. Yeah.
You know, and I just thought that was, and they didn't get into that enough. Like, I would love to have seen a flashback. You know, they had those flashback scenes. I would love to have seen a flashback where Vatic and the Board Queen met.
Right.
How did they start this plot? And I'm sure they'd written it. They just didn't have enough.
How do you do that
money
without revealing?
Right.
Before you want to reveal.
Yeah, I would have put it in the, you know, at the end of episode 9, the Enterprise D takes off, and I would have opened episode 10 with that meeting.
Right.
But then again, you'd have to reveal the Board Queen before you had that meeting. So
I do have one question for you, and I don't want to hog, because I know a lot of people have been waiting as well. I come from a Navy family, so I've always loved Starfleet, and I love ship design.
Yeah.
The one thing that I've always loved about Star Trek is that the ships have mass. Now, we can make a joke about in Star Blazers and Space Battleship Yamato, it's a little extra, like the ships are doing some crazy maneuvers. I loved in episode 9 when the D was leaving the Fleet Museum, you know, very slow, methodical impulse. The ships are power, and the engines are coming up to full power. And then they do what can only be described as a 4K up-res Death Star run.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh my God, this ruined everything. But it did make me laugh a little. And yeah, someone said Death Star run in the chat.
I mean, it's only because the Enterprise D is a huge ship.
Right.
And where's a corridor that's going to allow that to fly? But, you know, to me, I'm like, I get it. You know, by the end of
I'm not going to sit here and be mad about it. My favorite joke was that Friends meme with Joey and I think it's Phoebe, where, you know, they do the back and forth. And it's like, we need a ship, you know, we need a ship designed to fight the Borg. Let's take the Defy Enterprise D.
No, but you know, the thing about the ship museum ships is I bet none of them were space worthy. None of them had warp cores in them or anything like that.
Oh, right. And you always ask yourself, what kind of museum has that much live ordnance in the form of a photon torpedo lying around? But you can also just accept it as I do. I'm like, yeah, well, we needed those torpedoes, so they were there.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Or they were requisitioned for whatever reason, or they took torpedoes off ships.
Or Geordi was up to something. You know,
or yes.
So, well, I thank you for your time, sir.
All right, man. Well,
happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Robin. It was good to speak with you.
Yeah, I'll see you soon.
All right. Adios. 101 Johnny. You're up, sir.
Hey, Rob. How you doing?
How's it going, man?
Going good.
Good to see you.
Enjoying the weekend. Just, you know, probably going to fall asleep sooner than later today.
I can't. It's hard to sleep because once we get rid of all the puppies, I can go back to.
Sorry to maybe make you envious with that statement then.
No, it's all good. All good.
Hey, thanks a lot for getting around to my letter before. I've been waiting on that, and I'm really happy that you got to read it.
Oh, yeah, that was a great letter. Yeah. That was really, really good. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because sometimes I thought the funny thing, here's the thing. When I get letters, sometimes or a lot of the time I read the letters before I read them on the air.
That was the case because Mike was telling me about stuff like that.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, you know, and sometimes I thought that I read that letter and I haven't read it on the show. So
did you read it before the show?
Not right before the show.
No, I mean, like, did you read it at all before?
Oh, yeah. But like weeks ago.
Weeks ago, okay.
Yeah, and it because it all becomes a blur, you know. It's
right. You got so much. Mike was telling me about how much letters he sends you like at a time. And
my God! And you know, I read them, and I love getting letters. You know, I love it. Yeah. But sometimes I get them, and like they're off format or they're in the body of an email. When Mike sends them to me, it's another email that's forwarded. Sometimes I don't get them that way, so it just depends. And when people remind me, like there's somebody who sent me a DM on Twitter but I'm looking for I mean, I get hundreds of DMs on Twitter, and I'm like, I don't know that person's name.
Right.
So I've been looking, scouring my Twitter, looking for this person's letter, and I don't know their name, and I know that I haven't read this letter yet. And I know it's about pronouns. It's about Ezra Miller being the Flash. And that when I call Ezra Miller, they, them, this person objects to that and doesn't think I should. And I wanted to read their letter only because, I wanted to answer. The thing is, I wanted to answer the question about that. And my answer to him would be, look, if somebody wants me to call them something, whether it's their nickname or whether it's, whatever they're going through, or I have no problem calling anybody anything that they want to be called. And this person says, I don't think you should call, this other person who wrote me the letter said, I don't think you should participate in their delusion or whatever. And I'm like, look, it's not, I don't know them. I don't know Ezra Miller. And I think when we're referring to Ezra Miller in public as much as we can and keep it straight, that we should refer to them using they, them pronouns because they've asked us to.
Yeah, there's something interesting about like the whole pronoun thing, aside from the whole, like the political discourse here. I grew up watching English Ultraman stuff and also Ultraman, poorly dubbed in Thai.
Right.
And the Australian Ultraman, they're all professional colleagues and they keep referring to each other as them when they don't know where they are. Instead of saying he or she.
Yeah.
Because they're not on a personal level. Even in Japan, there's a thing like that where, you say san, Rob-san.
Right.
But that's being formal. If we were familiar, I could say Rob-chan.
Okay.
Like just the idea, like, and it's apparently more of an European thing, which Australia comes more out of the British colonies in terms of like their culture. And it's their own thing. I just mean like they think of they, them on a familiar basis. At least they seem to. Maybe it's changed. Like this was back in the 90s when I was watching the show. But still, like there is a sense of familiarity in that regard. And then like maybe with someone like Ezra Miller, who's like, I don't really want to label myself as anything. I don't want to be seen as something familiar by anybody. So therefore I am they, them.
Yeah. And what I find interesting, there's a lot of people online, if they feel they've been dead named or misgendered or something. And that makes me upset because you can't expect the world to know.
Right.
Like
we're not that special.
Yeah. And it's like, look, if you look like a female and you want to be called with he, him pronouns, you can't, this is what I don't understand. You have to understand that the real world is not going to know what you want to be called because they don't know you. So if you go into the world and you get misgendered by a waitress or a doctor or a fireman or something.
Oh, man. I'm thinking of all the, the stuff that they put on YouTube with all the people, because they're so emotional. I don't mean to be rude to them, but because their emotion is so high, they overreact and embarrass themselves. And then other people feel the need to defend them because otherwise it's going to make everybody else look bad.
Yeah. But that's the thing. I mean, I don't know where we came to a place that everybody expects the world to cater to them.
It's something I talk about, like my coworkers. I work with mechanics. I'm not a mechanic. I just help out in the shop because I'm not good for anything else. And talking with these guys, and it's just an idea of, it kind of goes back, I'm generalizing here. It kind of goes back like to World War II. That's like the start of everybody's historical culture starting point. Everything was like kind of reset there. And so growing up from that generation, you had these soldiers that saw war and didn't want to talk about it, or they didn't want to have their kids face what they had to face. Yep. And then over in the West, the East, especially in Japan being like the biggest media thing over there, like with their Godzilla being a big cultural impact thing. Their soldiers, the parents' attitude was, I need you to understand what I went through so you don't make the same mistake. So over in the West, there's this thing of protection. And then over in the East, there's a thing of understand, learn from my mistake. So I think because of the protection, it led to the coddling and then like like a lot of conservative people would say, young people today don't have the same tools their parents did because they weren't taught them. They don't have these emotional tools.
And there's always been, I think that's actually very astute. And there's always been a generational gap, but I've never seen a generational gap that's willful. Like, you know, when I was a kid, my parents taught me manners. You always say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, please, that kind of thing. Right. Like to this day, I've known, I mean, most of my parents' friends that I grew up with they're in their 80s. And whenever I see them, it's always, oh, call me Carol or call me Steve. I can't do it.
Right.
I mean, I still can't do it. I can't call, you know, whatever Mr. or Mrs. person. I've been saying that all my life. I can't suddenly call you like Steve or Paul or John or whatever the hell your name is. I can't do it.
Right. I have a landlord of like 4 years, and I could call him, and I usually refer to him as Mr. Saikon, even though we're pretty familiar with each other. But we also, like, he called me boss, even though I'm the tenant. So I started calling him boss. So now that's our nickname for each other. We just call each other boss.
I love it. I think we need more of that.
Yeah, like that's I do like to think about like these cultural differences between Asia and the West. Because I grew up in Thailand, there is a thing where you are given a nickname. It's a thing in Japan too. It's a little different. But in Thailand, if you're friends with people, you have your birth name, and then there's the nickname everybody calls you, even your parents. Since me and my brother and sister, well, brothers and sister, we're all, you know, the foreign kids, our nicknames are just them trying to say our birth names. So my name is John, so therefore my nickname is John, which is the Thai word for plate. And my brother James, his name is, they can't pronounce it, so instead they call him Jing, which is like these little finger symbols, a little instrument. They can't say my brother Steve, so he becomes Estewi. And my sister, she's the best one because her name is Sarah, and the Thai word for tiger is Sara. So
wow, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's, you know, like just a sense, like it's a thing. Like I don't really know how the Western friendship dynamics work because I was homeschooled and in Thailand. I was born and raised over there for 20 years. So it's something I study by watching. I like to watch movies and that sort of thing. See what it's like. I really like the John Hughes stuff. I feel like there's a real universal element in those.
Oh yeah. Although nowadays people are saying that, you know, 16 Candles or something is.
Yeah, but what people don't acknowledge is those films were aimed at adults.
Right.
Like that's a different thing. Also, even in Japan, like the reason why there's so much anime focused on high school isn't because they're aiming it at high schoolers. It's because high school was the best time of the working adults' lives.
Right.
It's supposed to be nostalgic, but it deals with mature subjects. An idea of, I could have done this, or what would it have been like if I had done this, or I know what it'd be like, and let's just kind of live this fantasy and entertainment sort of thing. It's not, you can tell, like it's kind of lost to some of the Western distributors over here because they ignore the subject matter because like, oh, it's a cartoon, it should be fine, right? You know, but like some of it's not meant for kids at all, or at least not young kids.
Right.
You'd be surprised. I mean, like Dragon Ball, sure, that one's easy. It's over the top violence to the point where it's kind of cartoony.
Yes.
So it's fantasy violence. It's not outright violent.
Right.
But then you got the more realistic or more grotesque stuff like Berserk. That's definitely not for kids. That's more for the adults. Devilman, if you didn't know, Devilman was a big influence on Berserk. Devilman was aimed at kids, but the author, Go Nagai, he was purposefully trying to push the boundaries.
Oh, yeah. I'm a huge Go Nagai fan, too.
Yeah. Messenger Z, I read like the first few issues of the manga, found it online, kind of awkwardly translated. And it's so tongue-in-cheek, even though it's graphic. Like he kills one of these minions, the pilot Kabuto. He kills one of these minions by turning his sword on him. Right. And it goes up the guy's neck, and the guy slides down the sword, glaring at him, and then his helmet falls off, and you see his brains exposed with robot stuff.
Oh yeah.
And Kabuto's freaking out, but then the police chief comes out from under the boards wearing a handkerchief around his nose as if he's a thief in the night. And he's got his gun. He's like, don't worry, I got him. And he shoots the rest of them. And he's like, I killed someone. How do I deal with this? Oh, don't worry. You're the protagonist of this story. You're going to be fine.
Right.
And he's like, I'll take comfort in that, I guess.
And thanks to all of you that are still here for being members, Mr. Raygun, everyone. This has been a lot of fun. And Future Past. That's right. The last album's Future Past. And which I have a signed copy of, thanks to Emma Bannon, the lovely Emma Bannon. All right, well, I will see you guys later. Thanks for being members. I think I'm doing a stream with 6 Scale Mafia at 6:30, but then I'll probably do another stream tonight, because why not? You know, because I haven't been on the internet enough today. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for being here. Another epic member call. All right, everybody.
Guys. Yep.
Adios.